We are on the road to SummerSlam, so I have decided to go back and watch every single SummerSlam ever. Come here and talk about it. What was cool, what was not, best matches, MVP, worst matches, you name it. We're going to discuss it here with a brand new video coming out each and every single day from July 1st through July 31st. But before you get your nostalgia fix, guess what? Bluechew wants to sponsor your SummerSlam. Let your mega powers explode in bed with Bluechew's chewable tablets that will enhance your performance and boost your confidence in bed. Learn more by checking out the link in the description box below. Now let's go back in time to 1988. So first and foremost, completely honest, this was my first time watching SummerSlam 1988. So of course, I had to sort of fill in the blanks and figure out what was happening on the show. And it's a totally different experience when you go back and you rewatch old wrestling. Now, I had previously gone back and watched every single WrestleMania. And so far right now, I'm sort of feeling the exact same way that I did when I was watching the old WrestleManias and watching the old SummerSlams, in that it's really fun to see where we were at during that time period, but also knowing everything that happened since then. So let's get to it. I thought the biggest highlights of the show was definitely getting to see the Ultimate Warrior win the Intercontinental Championship. So we all know how over the Ultimate Warrior was back in the day. We know it, right? Because who doesn't get excited for the big run, for the rope portion, all of that. And even just going back and watching it in this time period, but seeing how it was back then, it's not that I was baffled by the reaction. It was more so that I was reminded of how over the Ultimate Warrior was back then, because it was just such a cool character because you of course have the high impact, high voltage entrance, right? It's a very quick match. He beats the Honky Tonk Man. He wins the Intercontinental Championship. But then later on, he has a promo on the show and he's going off and he's saying all of these things. I don't even know what he's saying. I have now seen a zillion Ultimate Warrior promos, and not once can I tell you that I actually understood what the hell the Ultimate Warrior was saying. But in a way, it almost, and like that's sort of the charm of those promos. And that's one of the things that I've loved about going back and watching these old SummerSlams, these old WrestleManias, is that you get these really larger than life personalities coming out there and talking like so much energy. Of course, you see it with the Ultimate Warrior, you see it with the Macho Man, you see it with Hulk Hogan, you see it with all of these promos, and that's one of the things that I do kind of miss. I know that it could be it's a little bit different. You can't, I don't know if you can really do that now, or I don't know how it would really look now, but it is something that I kind of want to see because I do love that high intense, I'm gonna murder you type of energy. And so it was really fun to kind of go back and see all of that. So the other big highlight of this show was the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage defeating the Mega Bucks, Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant. As a reminder, Hulk Hogan returned to SummerSlam after losing the title to Andre the Giant. Also, one of the things I loved about this is that anytime I get to go back and watch Andre the Giant, because he was such a special attraction, and to me, like I'll always see him as that. It was just so fun to watch him wrestle and seeing him just like putting his entire body weight on Hogan and the Macho Man. Fun. Love to watch that stuff. Love it. So I thought one of the most interesting parts of watching this match was Miss Elizabeth, because in an earlier promo, Macho Man and Hogan said that she was the secret weapon. And I thought to myself, okay, well, what is she going to do, right? And when the match actually ends up happening, we end up seeing Miss Elizabeth take off her skirt, and she is basically distracting Andre the Giant and Ted DiBiase, primarily Ted DiBiase. He was jaw dropping and practically drooling over Miss Elizabeth. But I thought it was kind of funny because in my mind, I always just remember Miss Elizabeth just being so classy, and everything that I've seen of hers has always just been like, you know, she's so lovely. Like she could literally be from the royal family or something, right? She's so lovely, so classy. But it was so funny that she ended up doing something I guess not classy, somewhat unlike her character here to just flash these guys. And it's so funny because she didn't even like turn around and show any booty or anything like that. It was just very simple. She takes off her skirt and they're bug-eyed, right? And so of course the Mega Powers get the win here. And I thought that was really one of the other biggest highlights of the show. Now, as for the rest of the show, there were some matches that I did struggle with where I couldn't get into them, or I just thought, oh my God, I don't know if this is really for me from back in the day. And I feel like this always happens to me when I watch old stuff. Like some stuff still hits, and other stuff you're just like, I'm so glad this is done with and we're not seeing this anymore. What was the best match, in my opinion, from 1988 SummerSlam? I'm going to give it to the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith, and the Dynamite Kid versus the Fabulous Rougeaus. Even though this match ended in a time limit draw, I really liked the effort that was really put into this match. It was a lengthy match, but also I really like how we were seeing the British Bulldogs just really showcase their strength. And at some point by the end of it, they had gotten like, I think 1 or 2 visual pins during this match. But also by the end of it, they seemed to have the match won, but the time limit essentially ruined it. But the way that they had the crowd eating out of the palms of their hands by the end of this just kind of showed how during that time they were just really invested in what they saw in this opening match. So that's one of the things that I try to do. I try to place myself as best as I possibly can in that time period, even though it's really hard to do, but I try. And so that is why this match ended up being my favorite of the night. Also, we need to shout out that All American Boys was a freaking phenomenal theme song. I ended up adding it to my Spotify playlist. With that being said, the worst match. The worst match to me was Dino Bravo defeating Don Morocco. I just could not get into this match at all. It was one of those things where I felt like I was watching action figures wrestle. This is a really weird way of explaining it, but this is how I see my little cousins play fighting with wrestlers, and the way that they move and they're just like this. That is what watching this match was like. So it really was not for me, and that is why this was my worst match of the card. Who was the MVP of the show? Well, I can go with the Ultimate Warrior for being really over. And I also kind of like seeing him win the Intercontinental Championship. And I just like the energy. Or I could go with Miss Elizabeth because she really was the reason that the Mega Powers won. So I can really go any direction. I'll let the chat vote below. Now, as for the rating, on a scale of 1 to 13, I'm going to give this one a 4. Sorry, but there were a lot of things that I struggled with just going back and watching. But moving on to 1989. I thought this show was way better than 1988, and there was quite a few things that I enjoyed. I was very sports entertained with Dusty Rhodes versus the Honky Tonk Man. So I know that people say that the way that WWE treated Dusty was basically like a rib for his entire career, that they were constantly trying to embarrass him. But damn, can we please give Dusty Rhodes freaking kudos for making everything that he was given work. He went into this match and they had this little dance off in the beginning, but this match was just freaking fun. Jimmy Hart kept trying to get involved. He pulled the leg of Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes chases after him. But in the end, Jimmy Hart accidentally hits Honky Tonk Man with his own guitar. And so Dusty Rhodes hits the bionic elbow and gets the victory. Another match that had me sports entertained was the Ultimate Warrior defeating Rick Rude and once again winning the Intercontinental Championship. And this one here, I enjoyed. I liked the chemistry with the Ultimate Warrior and Rick Rude, and I thought it was super freaking hilarious when Roddy Piper comes out and moons Rick Rude. I don't know. It was like something so stupid, but I laughed at this so freaking hard because we had Rick Rude doing his thing, and Piper just turns around and lifts up his kilt, and you see it from far, so you don't get a close-up shot. But from far away, it was very, very funny, and so he gets mooned. The distraction, of course, allowed for the Ultimate Warrior to hit his splash and get the victory, once again winning the Intercontinental Championship. I feel like this is just the thing we see at SummerSlam. It's not a SummerSlam without the Ultimate Warrior winning the Intercontinental title, or as we would learn in the next episode, without somebody new becoming Intercontinental Champion. All right, so thumbs up for this match as well. The other highlight for 1989 SummerSlam was getting to watch Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake defeat Randy Savage and Zeus. And the reason why I say this was a highlight was because I love seeing Zeus. As we all know, Debo from Friday. Anyways, I love seeing him in this match, and he's so, I love the way that they made him seem like a person that just could not be overcome by Hulk Hogan, which is what they always do in every single Hulk Hogan match ever. But regardless, I thought Zeus freaking killed it in this. We did see like the world's longest bear hug, which in hindsight, we kind of always get this too. But either way, I thought that this match was very fun, and getting to see the pop when Hulk Hogan finally brought down Zeus, I thought that was freaking hilarious too. I thought that the best match was Dusty Rhodes versus the Honky Tonk Man. As I mentioned earlier, I was thoroughly entertained with all of the shenanigans that unfolded during this. The worst match, in my opinion, was Greg Valentine versus Hercules. Now, I have come to realize this when I was going back and watching old WrestleManias, that I am just not a fan of Hercules. So, my MVP for the show was Dusty Rhodes. The promo, the match, he just made it work. I give this 6 out of 13. Now let's get into SummerSlam 1990. As I mentioned earlier, it seems like we got a new Intercontinental Champion each and every single time. And this one we saw the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, defeat Mr. Perfect to become the IC champion. Now, this, of course, I think hits a lot harder, especially knowing the story of the Von Erichs and knowing that throughout the Texas Tornado's career in WWE, he did have the fake foot. And when you're watching this and knowing that, it just trips you out that if you didn't know that, you would have no idea that he had that issue. Like, you had no idea that he didn't have a foot. And when I was watching this, I was trying to see if I could pick up on it. And truthfully, I didn't. I could not pick up on it. And that's just a testament to him. And I just felt happy. I guess just recently rehearing the story of the Von Erichs and seeing this play out and seeing him become Intercontinental Champion. So that was a highlight for me for SummerSlam 1990. So I got to admit that one of the storylines that really had me hooked during this whole show was Sapphire, Queen Sherry, Dusty Rhodes, Ted DiBiase, and everything that played out there. So I had seen clips of this, but I never saw how the entire thing was threaded throughout the entire show, since I was watching this entire thing for the first time, right? And so basically, Sherry ends up winning the match because Sapphire never comes out. She goes missing. Nobody knows where she's at. Mean Gene, Dusty, everybody is like worried because they don't know if she got kidnapped. What happened to her? She just vanished from thin air. A woman is missing. And right, so it keeps you entertained because you're thinking, damn, what really happened to her? And it's then when it actually is revealed what happened to her, I went, oh no. Because the implications and what it kind of means, it's like, it gets a little iffy. But let me explain. So Ted DiBiase reveals that he has bought off Sweet Sapphire. She had been getting gifts, and she ended up getting, what was it, like a fur coat, a bag of money, a fancy dress. She got all of these things, and she was bought off by Ted DiBiase. 2024, the storyline, nope, definitely would not work at all. Of course, I don't even know what to say about it. I don't even know what to say. I have no words. Anyways, I will admit that I was thoroughly entertained with the entire build-up to just trying to find out what happened to Sweet Sapphire. And Dusty, man, he was so worried about her, and this unfortunately ended up costing him his match against Macho Man Randy Savage, because that's when he ended up finding out the news about it. The other match that I want to talk about is Hulk Hogan versus Earthquake. And for those of you who watch my WrestleMania rewinds, you guys know me. I love me some Earthquake. I guess I love all meaty men from like any decade, any period. I don't care. But also, it's just the theme song, guys. It's the dun, 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 dun. I also downloaded that on my Spotify. So you know what's up. Anyways, so this match wasn't anything great, but the thing that really sticks out to me, and I think to myself, damn, how ironic is it? So there was a moment where Hogan, because he wins via countout, right? But the way that it happened was that Hogan put Earthquake through a table, but Earthquake slides off and never breaks the table. Think about it, guys. How ironic is it that a guy like Earthquake did not end up breaking the table? Of all people, for the table not to break on. Earthquake. And anyways, I think it was the irony of all of that that really got me, and that was really the big thing that stood out to me in this matchup here. But also, the thing that I struggle with Hulk Hogan matches sometimes, and it's weird because it was the thing that I always loved, because as a child, I was a Hulkamaniac. I loved Hulk Hogan. I had seen so many of his matches because my uncle would show them to me. And so, but once I got older, I realized that every Hulk Hogan match is pretty much the exact same story. And once I realized that, I found myself struggling um to get into it when I'm rewatching it, because I already know what the story is, right? You got some big foe, some person that is just, oh my God, he's never gonna, how Hulk Hogan will never be able to defeat this person. And he's in a bear hug every single time for like a zillion minutes. And this person is beating him down, beating him down, beating him down. Oh my God, Hulk Hogan, how can he overcome this? And then he does. Ta-da! Anyways, moving on. So, for best match, I go with the Texas Tornado and Mr. Perfect, only because I just found myself really thinking throughout this match. Now, as for the worst match, I could sit here and say Queen Sherry and Sapphire because it never actually happened, but I'm going to go with a match that did happen that I thought was awful, and that, my friends, was the Warlord versus Tito Santana. And the reason I say this is because I love Tito Santana, and I've seen so many of his matches, and I liked all of what he did. I liked his matches. This is the first time where I did not like a Tito Santana match, and it was because of the Warlord. Again, another guy, all muscles. My MVP, once again, goes to Dusty Rhodes. Once again, for making things work. And my rating for the show for this one is 5 out of 13. So there you guys go, 1988 through 1990. The next episode I will be covering is obviously going to feature 1991 SummerSlam and 1992. And so keep an eye out for the next episode that drops. Once again, this is your injection of nostalgia. Maybe I shouldn't say it like that. Whatever. That's all I've got for right now. That's all I've got. Anyways, let me know what your guys' thoughts are. If you guys are rewatching SummerSlam, let me know in the comment section below. If you watched during the time, if you didn't, I know we have a lot of different people here of different age groups. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought or thought back in the time. Let me know in the comments. And as always, please do not forget to show some love over to our sponsors, Bluechew. And if you do get Bluechew, the link is in the description box below. And do not forget to use that promo code Denise. Plus, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Catch you on the next one.